Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Son of a Blitch podcast. I'm your host, George Blitch, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Jim Curcuruto. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, George. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Now, I know we're going to be talking a lot about the Outdoor Stewards of Conservation Foundation, which you're the executive director of, but I kind of want to dive back a little bit into your history as an outdoorsman and kind of where you grew up and how you kind of got involved with the outdoor, landscape and, really kind of give me some background on your maybe hunting career and how you got involved in really caring about and having passion for the stewardship.
Sure, yeah. I was extremely fortunate, to grow up with in a family that enjoyed being outdoors, and especially my dad. He would get outside as much as he could, and I grew up in New York, but not the New York most people think. It wasn't the city. My folks moved out of Astoria, Queens, to a more suburban area when they had kids, and I grew up about 40 miles north of New York City. It was still somewhat rural, more suburban now, but we had plenty of opportunities to catch some bass and some trout, and I always remember missing ruffed grouse my whole childhood. We didn't have a dog, but we tried like heck to get a couple of birds, but man, those things, I have some fond memories, but also some frustrations about chasing them. So got to spend a lot of time outdoors, hunting, fishing, shooting, and then went to school for business and went to upstate New York, then down to North Carolina, and did some market research and some sales, and then landed a position with the National Shooting Sports Foundation. The NSSF is a trade association for the firearms outdoor industry. They own and operate the SHOT Show. Mm-hmm. So I was very fortunate to work with them for 11 years, I think from 2011 to 2022. And I did industry research for them, helped build the knowledge level of the outdoors industry on how many people were participating, why they're participating, what they were buying, and how we could get them to do more things outdoors. Also helped what we call the R3 movement, recruit new people, retain the ones we have, and reactivate folks that have lapsed. And through that, I got to work with state and federal wildlife agencies and their R3 efforts. So, great times, both growing up and working. So I'm a fortunate guy.
That's wonderful. And when did you start having the idea to do the Outdoor Stewards of Conservation Foundation? Because it sounds like there's kind of the tail end of your NSSF time, and then now you've kind of launched this, a little over a year and a half old, and it's kind of continually growing and picking up steam. You got a great team behind you. How did you kind of bring this into fruition?
Yeah, I tell you, I had the opportunity in early 2021 to, do something new. And through all the research that I conducted over the 10, 11 years there was a big opportunity to really focus on conservation. Mm-hmm. And, it's my passion, being outdoors, cleaning up the environment, getting new people involved in the outdoors. And the way conservation is funded has always been a sore point for me, that people don't know that it's hunters, anglers, and target shooters are the primary funders of conservation in America, whether through buying hunting and fishing licenses or buying hunting related products, guns, ammo, bows, arrows, fishing poles, lures. That those hunters, anglers, and target shooters are the primary funders of conservation. So that's one of the things that I really wanted to help get the word out about. And, forming a nonprofit is an easy way to do that. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but a good way to do that.
Sure. And what you were talking about there too, a lot of those funds coming in, that was through the Robertson-Pittman Act. Is that correct?
Yeah. Pittman-Robertson Act started in the late 30s there, and it, I think it's up to $16 billion, but just, the last couple of years, I think last year it was over $1 billion coming from just the purchases of guns and ammo that gets directed to the state wildlife agencies so they can do all the terrific work they do managing wildlife populations and building shooting ranges and teaching hunter safety education.
and all valuable and very important things. And I think that a lot of folks have this negative view on hunters and anglers, and they don't really understand too that those are the backbone and foundation of a lot of the funds that go into us being able to have beautiful outdoor spaces that everyone can hike in and go and, you know, experience camping and hunting as well. But like, yeah, it's these folks who have a passion for the outdoors, and, you know, have a livelihood involved in it too. And I guess that kind of ties in. Could you maybe talk about some of the mission of, you know, the Outdoor Stewards of Conservation, and what it is that you feel is a very important aspect of you know, tenets of your foundation there?
Sure. So our mission is to use research-based communication and engagement programs to help recruit that next generation of hats and promote the fact that hats are the primary funders and stewards of land, fish, and wildlife conservation in America.
Right on. And that's how many active hats, hunters, and target shooters are there right now?
So yeah, I get tired of saying hunters, anglers, and target shooters.
Right.
So we just kind of coined the term hats, right? There's 60 million active hats in America, and they spend 1.2 billion days outside every year hunting, fishing, or target shooting. Probably the largest cohort of folks that are getting deep into the woods, following a trout stream, or, you know, looking for a new spot to hunt. So, you know, it's just a natural group to work with and help push the conservation message.
Absolutely. With that in mind, like, what are some of the programs that you're involved in? Because I know you have a, you know, a few programs that are at right now, and I know you guys got a lot of plans and things you're building, you know, a new organization, but you and your team have a lot of decades of experience, and I know that there's things that are coming out, but right now you have a few that are kind of your main tenets at the moment. Can you discuss some of those programs?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of it is communication based and engagement based, like our mission states. So our newest program that we're building out right now is called Connecting with Conservation. And it's a video series that promotes the North American model of wildlife conservation. And that's a model that has, you know, 7 tenets to it. But most importantly in there, it explains, you know, every American has the right or the opportunity to hunt and fish. You know, no wanton waste. There's no market hunting anymore. So we want to push the message that, you know, you have an opportunity that is not available in a lot of places in the world. It's amazing how, you know, how free you are here to do things that you want to do. But also supporting that North American model is the Wildlife Restoration Fund, that Pittman Robertson and Dingle Johnson and all those license sales. We want to explain that as well. So that's our newest program, Connecting with Conservation. And we also, and a big believer, and I got to find a better way to explain the joy, you know, people get by inviting someone new. Right. So we have a recruitment program called Come With. So I conducted millions of dollars worth of research over a decade. A lot of it focused on recruitment, and it boiled down to 2 words, you know, come with. If you are an existing angler and you invite your neighbor to come with you, do you want to learn how to fish? You want to come with me to the stream? You're going to get a yes more times than not. Right. So we're just asking existing hats to invite somebody to come with them. And we're not expecting, you know, if everybody brings somebody, well, we don't really want to double from 60 million to 100, you know, 120 million. That might be a problem, right, for resources. But, you know, if we can get that sustained, you know, 2-3% growth a year is what we're looking for. And the best way to do that is to have active hats recruit somebody new. So we're working with our industry partners, pushing that message out. But what we're most excited about is our kind of the first ever national conservation engagement program, where we work with our industry and state partners in a program we called Fill a Bag While Filling Your Tag. Right. So what we do is we provide biodegradable bags to our partners. They'll distribute those bags to their customers. And then the bags are pre-printed with our partner's logo and social media tag, and have instructions that say, hey, take this bag with you when you head outdoors. And if you come across a piece of trash, could it be an old bottle, a Mylar balloon, you know, Dunkin' Donuts cup, whatever it is, just instead of walking by it, stop for a second, take out your bag, put it in your bag, and take it out of the woods and waters with you. Now, again, through research, 92% of hats have taken other people's trash out of the woods and waters. But what they're not doing is getting credit for being a conservationist and being a steward. So we're asking them to snap a photo of them with their TrophyTrash and their fill a bag and post it to their social media account saying, hey, here's my TrophyTrash of the day. And that way we'll form a movement. It's easily trackable with that hashtag. And people are going to get credit for being that steward. So we're excited about that program, but we just need to kind of have a sustained growth here. We can't get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of interest in it, but we're just trying to do it methodically and get the process going under control here without going in too many directions.
Well, and you have some wonderful partners already, and I know that that's going to be a growing list. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about who your partners are at the moment?
Yeah, and without any advertising, we haven't done much in the way of outreach yet, but just through some industry connections I've had and explaining what we're doing here, Fiocchi Ammunition jumped on board, Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency jumped on board. We're also working with Vista Outdoor, and they have all the brands out there, but they're, some of their primary brands, Federal Ammunition and Heavy Shot Ammunition, are starting to distribute some bags for us. We're working with Sport Dog brands and Mid-South Shooter Supply down in Tennessee. So, I mean, it is nice that we can work, again, with both industry partners and state agencies, because everybody's got the same goal with this. So we're looking forward to really making Fill a Bag a national program and giving credit back to those hats for being the stewards and funders of conservation.
Well, it sounds like a great thing to be a part of. Let's say, we got some interested parties who want to come in, some, people in the outdoor industry, some businesses, and they want to become a partner with you and maybe, get involved with the Fill a Bag program or just kind of helping to promote your organization. What's the best way for them to kind of do that?
Sure. Yeah, they can, definitely just reach out to me, and, they can get to me through on our website, outdoorstewards.org is my contact information. Give me a call, shoot me an email. It's funny. I just had a conversation with one of our partners, and they called us a disruptor. I said, what are you talking about? We're not trying to disrupt anything. And they said, well, you're disrupting the sponsorship model, the nonprofit model, because traditionally, you would get a press release and a banner at a show or something along those lines. So what we're doing is providing a lot more value with this Fill a Bag program. You'll get, a tangible product as a partner, logoed and specialized to your company with social tags. And again, we help push out some messages on social media. As a nonprofit, we're a tax write-off as well. So we are, I guess, a disruptor in a good way.
Well, I think in this day and age too, it is good to have a new model. I mean, I know a lot of times when, my company Map My Ranch, we have some partnerships like with Sharing the Land program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, with Doug Duran, wonderful conservationist outdoorsman. And, I've talked to him about a lot of the models with their partnerships and what they're doing with their programs. And the days of just buying a banner to put at a show for 2 hours and then it's taken down, you never see it again. The social media engagement is huge. Having something like the Fill a Bag program where you can actually see a tangible evidence of that. And you're going to be having that kind of promotion too. I mean, I know for a fact you sent me a bunch of bags, and I'm going out with my buddies, next week, and we're going to be filling bags. We're as well as we're filling our tags. That's something that, and we definitely have a lot to clean up. We have some property that's about 30 miles from the Texas border, and we have a lot of traffic coming over. And in that, with that comes a lot of trash too. A lot of times we'll come across groups of 15, 20 backpacks, a lot of water bottles and things that are out there. So it's a continual, I mean, if you had the monster size room size bags, I could probably fill those. So I'll probably have your bags and then some huge contractor bags in the background. But there's always something out there, and we're trying to leave that land better for the wildlife and for future generations. And I see it on my properties alone. I see it when I go into public land, and there's a lot of folks who there was a guy we had on who was telling us about how he had gone out and hunted in this public land. This lady was accosting him because he's coming back with his deer. And, she's like, "You're just out here killing a deer." And he's like, "Well, I also have this," and shows a bag full of trash. And she's like, "Wait, why did you pick up the trash?" And he's like, "Because I want to leave it better than what I found it." And she's like, "Well, I see the trash every time I walk around." And he's like, "Do you pick any of it up?"
Right.
Well, no. And he's like, "Well, I do." And then after that, he'd get notes on the windshield and she'd be like, "Good luck with, getting your deer. Hope you get one," or whatever. And like, that one thing changed someone's perception. And I think like, the Pittman Robertson, people don't realize who funds a lot of that, conservation, and also maybe the reintroducing of species. And then you bring in the idea of like how many folks are picking up the trash and making that land better. Hunters and anglers, man, they do so much. Those hats, hats off to the hats,
Hats off to the hats. We got to figure out some marketing with that.
There we go.
Hats term, right?
I like it. There's a lot there.
But I love that story. And that's a story that you're going to hear more of, about there's that common connection. So, the chairman of our board, Peter Churchborn, he runs a hunter leadership forum for the National Rifle Association. And they just put out a book last year, How to Talk About Hunting. And one of the key findings in it is finding common ground, and that common ground is conservation. There's nobody in America that wants, to have poor air quality or dirty water. So again, having this program, just like, your story there, is a common theme. It brings things down to, everybody's level. Like, we all want to have a clean environment, and it starts a conversation. Not only do I clean this up, but I also fund it. That's a wildlife management area. And that was paid for not by anybody except for hunters and target shooters, so that's, it just helps start the conversation there. And I mentioned Peter on the board, and I'd be remiss without saying, I'm very, very fortunate to have a solid board of directors. I mentioned Tennessee Department of Natural Resources is buying a lot of our filler bags and distribute them out. Jen Wisniewski, who's their director of marketing, is on our board. Michelle Sherman, who does communications for the industry, is on our board. Very diverse board with like Chuck War, who used to work at Trigicon. He's Army veteran, Native American. Eric Morris, who knows more about recruitment than anybody I know, and especially diversity recruitment. He's got his own television show and is always bringing out new folks. So authentic. He's not making up stories. He's not made for the TV. It's just authentic, and it's can't get to where you're going without a good, strong support team. John Bloom, who does all of our financial stuff. These are things I don't know, but luckily I knew the right people, like the best people I knew, and they bought into what we're trying to do. So definitely have to say thanks to those folks for helping out, getting us started.
So Jim, you mentioned Eric Morris a minute ago, and can you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned his television show. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what that's about?
Yeah, he's on our board, and he's runs a TV show called Typical Outdoorsman TV. And it's a great show. It's just super authentic, very raw. And it's a different world for me because, he is African-American, and a lot of the folks that he has on his show are first-time hunters or established hunters. And I just, he has done more for recruitment than just about anybody I know, and especially diversity recruitment. I've known him for about 10 years. He's an Army veteran. When he was in Iraq, we used to, send him care packages. And what he wanted was magazines, hunting and shooting, fishing magazines. I don't get that in the field here. So, but when he got back, he started this television program down in Georgia. And we're fortunate enough to be working together in 23 on a project where 6 of those episodes that he's going to tape are going to introduce someone new to hunting and target shooting that work at state wildlife agencies as well as manufacturers. So say, for example, Tennessee Department of Natural Resources and, Smith & Wesson just moved down to Tennessee or something. They will bring somebody from each organization out in the field on a quail hunt or to the range and just introduce them to it. And, man, I tell you, mentoring I still haven't figured out the way to explain the feeling you get, right, as a mentor, seeing somebody harvest their first animal, hit their first target, or catch their first fish is 10 times better than me doing it, right? And
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and it's the same reaction. They all turn around like, oh my God, like, so there's nothing better than you know, watching somebody do something for the first time and getting that excitement of like, man, I never thought I would do this. I'm so glad that you invited me, right? And that goes back to that come with. So it's all ties together about inviting somebody to come with you, you know, and it's a commitment. This is not a one-time deal like you were talking about. You know, you have to walk people through and explain everything to them. They don't know much at all. So we're looking forward to definitely working with Eric and getting the word out on how to recruit new people and showing them a good time.
Absolutely, man. With a good team, anything's possible. And it sounds like you're probably going to be continuing to add onto your team as this expands out and such too. And your industry connections are going to be huge because I'm sure that there's a lot of folks you worked with those 11 years with the NSSF who, you know, they're going to get on board at this too. Who doesn't want to be a part of these kinds of programs? And I think it's wonderful. So that in mind too, what are some things that, you know, you see on the horizon? We're about to close out 2022. We got 2023 right around the corner. What are some of the goals for your organization that you guys are coming up with at the moment?
I tell you, we were very fortunate as a nonprofit. You can apply for some, you know, some grant funding, federal funding, and we ended up receiving funding for 5 projects for 2023, which will keep us extremely busy. So on top of expanding our programs, you know, the Come With and the Fill-A-Bag program, we did receive some funding to help develop some connecting with conservation videos, and we want to partner with state and federal agencies as well as industry there to get the word out about that. You know, as much as I enjoy conservation, you know, I've got research in my blood. I've done it for so long. There's no way I can not do research. So we're going to be working with some of the leading research firms in the industry and putting out new insights on Americans' attitudes toward hunting, trapping, target shooting, fishing. So that's a general population, what they think. And there's been, you know, it could be a seismic shift in the way things have gone in the last 6-7 years since that study's been done. So I'm interested to see where we are with that. We're also going to do a study on what folks are going hunting with, in particular the AR platform or modern sporting rifle. You know, there's obviously a lot of news on those and what they are used for, but a lot of folks do use those for hunting, especially down south where you are. You know, hog hunting and barn hunting. I mean, it's you know. As you know, we can go on about the versatility and the uses for them, but so we'll have, you know, some solid data on what folks are hunting with them. And then we just wrapped up a study on Native Americans' participation in hunting, trapping, and target shooting, and have some great insights about, you know, the higher rate of participation among Native Americans in outdoor activities than among the general population. So now we're going to study what their participation and perceptions are on fishing and boating, and just a ton of great research that we'll be putting out. And on top of that, we're going to do a lot of communication events, projects as well. So the primary one that we'll be working on is with Wildlife Management Institute. So John Cassett down there and I will be putting together a team that is made up of, again, a cross-section of folks, marketing, communication folks from your conservation groups, your National Wild Turkey, Rocky Mountain Elk, Ducks Unlimited, to your U.S. Fish and Wildlife and your state wildlife agencies, Texas Parks and Wildlife, Tennessee DNR, Connecticut DEP, with your manufacturers, so your Mossbergs, your Smith & Wessons, your Sig Sauers. And then we'll be inviting, you know, your professional outdoor medias and your retailers and stuff. So we want to have a team of about a couple of dozen organizations that are interested in putting out messages to the masses on things like how conservation is funded, how to recruit the next generation, where you can go target shooting. So, you know, we've got all this data. We know that there's 7 million ranges out, or 7,000 shooting ranges, public shooting ranges out there. But folks just don't know when you do the research, why don't you participate? I don't know where to go. I don't have access. But there's, you know, 500 million acres of public access out there, right? So we want folks to know this. And getting that out individually is one thing, but working together as a combined communication, we're going to have a massive reaching power with that. Looking forward to that. So going to be a busy year, but it's going to be a fun year as well. So,
well, that when you talked about like recruitment, we're seeing, and in your research, maybe you can kind of give some numbers or lend some credibility to the statement, but it seems like that is something that we're finding a lapse in numbers of outdoor, hunters, target shooters. I think it may be just kind of a societal change too, is that, before you had to go out and provide some of your own food, whether it's farming or ranching or hunting.
right.
Now everything is, you can get on your phone, type in an app, and you have your dinner delivered in 5 minutes. And it seems like a whole different world than what I grew up with, and I'm only 43, and so I can only imagine for other folks who from past generations too, that we're seeing this easy click, next day shipping kind of thing. Everything's like so fast and right there, and people don't really understand what it really is entailed with all the farming, the ranching community, the hunting community. And I think we're seeing if I'm incorrect, please stop me, but we're seeing the numbers of hunters each year starting to slowly decline. And is that something that you're finding from your research and trying to bring that recruitment level up so that we can kind of at least stay on a standard, if not, promote these ideas and the things of like, hey, these are the folks who are producing the funds for this conservation, for this wonderful wildlife and the millions of acres of public land that we have available.
Right. No, you're exactly right, George. And one of the reasons why this R3 movement had started, it's only about 10, 12 years old, and it started through the state wildlife agencies, was because there was a long-term decline in hunting and fishing was kind of leveled off. And the recruitment efforts were focused on youth hunts, right? And a lot of times those fishing derbies or those youth events were marketing to people that were already outdoors, so they'll admit it, they made some mistakes and had some growing pains, but leaps and bounds, the marketing efforts that are going on now, the recruitment efforts, the working together is very substantial. The fishing has seen an increase over the past 5-6 years. Target shooting has exploded. There's 10 million new gun owners over the past 2.5 years.
Sure.
But our job, just because you own a gun doesn't mean you're participating in target shooting and then hunting. But, our job as an industry is to recruit those folks that just bought that first semi-automatic handgun for personal protection, make sure that they are proficient with it and, practice with it, and then educate them that there is a recreational side of gun ownership and sporting clays and trapping, all those fun clay sports, and then the competitions that are out there and available, and then, introduce them to, hey, you can use that shotgun for hunting purposes as well. And there's a tremendous amount of new folks coming into hunting that are older, right? They're the adult onset hunters that are very interested in the food aspect, the locavore aspect, sustainability, understanding where their food comes from. And it's, people that weren't welcome, 10 years ago. So we're doing a much better job welcoming them as a community, providing them information, the field to fork movement that, QDMA and those folks are doing. I mean, it's the future's looking bright for recruiting the next generation, and it's going to be a different looking generation than me, old gray bearded white guy, right? So
hey, I'm getting there too. I'm getting there too. Well, that's I've guided a lot of folks. I've a lot of first time hunters, and kind of bringing them through basically the starting grounds of like, firearm safety, right. And that being the key foundation, making sure everyone is having a safe time outdoors, and talking to folks about that. And then, proper you know, even when we're hunting, looking at the skeletal structures of animals before we even go
Right.
out there and, you know, studying what is it that would be the most ethical shot, you know,
Right.
placement, and, you know, what is an ethical shot and what is not, when to do this, when to not, and really kind of teaching everybody to make sure that they do the right job, just to, for you know, for that kind of sake, man, because there's a lot of people who don't have that kind of training or don't
Right.
have the ability to have a mentor out there. They may be nervous about what to do, and about taking
Right.
those steps and becoming, but there's a lot of people who want to, you know, they don't want to have some mass produced, you know, you know, meat that comes from some other country or something that
Right.
you're eating, and all the, you know, the calories that it took to get it to your plate. And from an, it's not, you know, like you said, that kind of locavore movement, you know, people want to know where their food comes from. And every state has some area that you can go and hunt or fish or trap, and you can be able to provide some of that, you know, those resources there
Right.
too. And, you know, same with outdoor foraging too. I mean, I see tons of folks who are doing that, you know, especially like the sharing the land initiative with Doug, you know, and he was talking about how a lot of people want to come onto the land. And, you know, with that kind of thing, the landowners and the land users kind of come together to work together to
Right.
leave that land better, and work in partnership. Because sometimes, I mean, I know with my ranches there too, I have to have people coming along and help me out. I can't do it all on my own.
Right.
And everyone who, when they come out and they become a part of that, or whether you're on, you know, a local state park or a national park and public lands, when you become more engaged in that, then
Yeah.
you're going to want to go and grab your bag, and you fill your bag with
Right.
that trash. You want to leave it better behind, because that next time you want to come out there, you want to see it in its true, pristine, natural environment, and not something, like you said, a bunch of coffee cups and a bunch of trash and bottles. And a lot of people do that. And we see it in the waterways. I mean, how many times, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
Brutal.
what do they say too, that in, I forgot where it is in the ocean, but it's like an accumulation of all the plastic
Right.
trash. And it's like larger than the state of Texas, and,
Brutal.
you know, and growing. And that is something that it's, you know, a lot of these fish think that, you know, and they see something shiny that, oh, it's another fish, and ends up being plastic, whatever. We got to clean up these things. And, you
Right.
know, even if the owned end user doesn't realize that, you know, that fish may end up on your plate someday too, if you're
Right.
ordering at a restaurant. You know, do you want to have pieces of plastic that have been inside it? Do you want to have these
Right.
toxins and these chemicals and spills off? And, you know, I don't know if people fully get that 360 yet about it. And, you know,
Right.
I think hunters and anglers and, you know, even, you know, target shooters, they're aware of that. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you're a part of that, bridging to those folks who maybe aren't in that understanding of what it is that is important. We need to leave this better behind. You know, I've got kiddos. I want to leave this better for the future generation. I think about the next 5, 6, 7 generations on, you know, what
Mm.
can we do today and what can they do to kind of continually leave this better? And
Right.
I think I'm very excited to see where all your organization's going to go, you know, in these future years and decades, man. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, I tell you, it is you know, exciting times. You know, a little bit nerve wracking. Never know what's coming next. But like, you know, you reached out to me just out of the blue, and it's just like every day there's something new, and it is exciting, and definitely looking forward to it, and look forward to kind of working with you as well. And appreciate your asking me to come on the show today. It's a great way for me to get the word out, and look forward to kind of, you know, staying in touch for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, like I offered before, man, maybe we can do something down here at one of the ranches, and
Yeah.
kind of, you know, I'd love to be a part of this. This is something that Colin Williams, the other half of Matt My Ranch, you know, he and I are always involved in trying to help out, you know, organizations and bring the awareness to them. And we just want to always try to promote something better for our kiddos and stuff too. And so
Right.
there's the self part of it that's important, but it's really the macrocosmic idea of what we need to do. And all the things that you're doing there with all of your programs, and the ones you're going to continue to build are just right along with you know, our I think a lot of people's ideology of what they want to do with the outdoor world.
Right.
Where it is the best place for, I know you mentioned Instagram earlier, but, you know, is there other avenues? And can you tell us, you know, your website, your
Right.
email address? What's the best place for people to get in touch with you, and to also check out Outdoor Stewards?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take you know, as much support as we can get. We're trying to put all information on outdoorstewards.org. And that's where you can kind of learn about our programs. We have a resource page, through all my years of doing stuff. Some of the most important things that I go to, we put links to those there, training videos and education and information is all posted there. We also provide shareable micrographics. So one little graphic that people can use on their social media. Definitely, if you could follow us on Instagram at Outdoor Stewards, trying to get the word out through that. And tell you what, we just put up donation buttons, working with PayPal and Venmo, and we just figuring out how to get on Amazon Smile. Just yesterday we did as well, which kind of blew my mind. I didn't really know anything about it, but if you're buying stuff on Amazon, you can just switch over to Amazon Smile, which is the same exact thing, and then it'll say, where do you want 0.5% of the proceeds to go to, and there's thousands of nonprofits. So if you just type in Outdoor Stewards of Conservation, we pop up, and nothing out of your pocket. It's just naturally going to go to a nonprofit. So we'd be happy to take take whatever you're doing on Amazon and turn it into something good.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to having you on again and chatting more about the Outdoor Stewards Conservation Foundation and all the wonderful programs you got going. We will definitely be sending all of our listeners over to check you guys out. I'll be having all the links below the podcast here. So everyone go check out Jim and his organization. And once again, thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, appreciate it very much, George. And good luck out there in the woods and have fun.
Thank you. Cheers. You take care.
Bye.